seeing Senior Day this week, a lot of guys on the roster have gotten a lot of love for their performances on the field. Who are some of the guys who maybe haven't played a lot that are still important to the program for you?
I think that, they're all important to the program. I mean, I know that's not what you're saying, but I'll make sure I say that. Like, I've mentioned a lot about, I think I mentioned 2 weeks ago, like, Jalen Gramstad and the impact that he's had. People haven't said a lot about, maybe noticed a lot, but I think Michael Booker has played at such a high level on special teams that I think teams should take a look at him at the next level. I mean, of all of our guys from last year that went on, either had a chance in pro football, played for pro football, John Bullock's played the most snaps. I mean, John Bullock is, I don't know how he did this past weekend. I think he was at like at 8 tackles, which get to 12 tackles, you're almost a Pro Bowler, right? So I think Booker's had that type of season for us on special teams. Derek Branch, you've heard me talk about him a lot. I actually asked him to address the team this morning. Just he's someone, like I said, when he speaks, everyone listens, including me. And so, but there's a lot of guys like that. Turner Corkran fighting to come back, Teddy Prohaska overcoming the injury. I mean, to sing Dane Key to transfer in and to become a captain here on 1 year to me is amazing, right? Marl Watson Trent's going to play. He's going to play a 60th college football game on Friday, excuse me. So there's a lot of amazing stories and a lot of guys that I'm proud of. But most importantly, I think they've helped establish a program that I'm proud of, and that is relevant nationally and is relevant recruiting-wise nationally. And it's the players who came before them, and it's them.
Given his NFL potential, does Emmett Johnson get honored this weekend? Or?
No. Emmett will make whatever decision he makes after the fact. It would just be those 19 guys.
Is Malcolm Hartzell?
No.
You anticipate him coming back next season, or you would like him to?
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah, 100%. I love Malcolm. Would have loved to have Malcolm out there with us all year long. I mean, we played pretty good pass defense without Malcolm, So, but yeah, I mean, today's landscape, you never know what. But I think just the 19 guys who said, hey, can I go out there for Senior Day, and we'll honor those guys.
Coach, I'm curious with the new recruiting rule changes. Do you like that you're not going to be on the road in December and the January 2nd portal date where you don't have to focus on all the recruiting and the portal stuff for once the Iowa game's over?
Yeah, Nick Saban on College Game Day, I think this past week, talked about the craziness. And I can just tell you, if you were in the Big Ten meetings, I was one of those guys standing on the table for a May portal. I think like at some point, these kids need to go somewhere and get an education and finish out the academic year, and leaving, and now you got guys announcing that they will be in the portal. I mean, it's just just start something and finish something, right? Start the coaching. Now you have mid-season coaching changes now as a result of this, and so Coach Saban said it so well, and I'm a proponent of what he said. So that being said, I do think it's great. Like it used to be, like we played this game and then we'd be on the road recruiting on Monday, and I don't know that if you can do justice to your team and bowl prep and all that while you're doing that. I think it's really good for players. You finish the season, the emotion of the season, the emotion of like take a breath, take the month, figure out. Some schools don't know who their coach is, who their position coach is, and then I guess it's now the decisions in January. So I do like the fact that we'll be around our team in December, and we'll be able to find out what bowl we're going to and prepare for that bowl and put our heart and soul into that bowl game. And that bowl game will be vital for us. It's a way to develop a lot of young players. And I think one of the biggest things, one of the things I share with the team, Sean, is, you look at a lot of our guys, that are, playing their best football, and you look at like their journey and how crazy their journey has been. And, Javen Wright, how crazy his journey's been. You look at Deshaun, from a junior college player to Senior Day last year to a junior college injunction. He gets another year, to Emmett Johnson, and the way Emmett's bursting out. And so often in life we feel the most pressure when we're right at the point of breakthrough, and then when you break through you say, oh, and you forget about the pressure of it. So I see so many young players on our team. I see so many good young players on our team, and bowl prep is so important for them, where they can maybe try a new position or see themselves as a one and develop a little bit. So many guys panic and they take off and leave and transfer somewhere, or they just get depressed on themselves. And so I think bowl prep's a really smart time, good time. And so often what's happened in recent years is coaches aren't focused on it because they're like, I think we did like 14 straight nights of dinner. Julie and I did 14 straight nights of dinner last year at Aragon, which is a great restaurant, and I love the people at Aragon, but it was like, just 14 straight nights of just hosting different people. And even then you're not doing a great job of talking to those people, right? And getting to know them. So, the signing date will come, and that'll be cool. And then that allows us then in January to A, focus on the portal, and then B, go out and do some recruiting for the 27, 28 classes.
With the Penn State loss, just looking back at the game, were you surprised by the outcome and kind of how it transpired?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, we thought we were prepared. I thought we were ready. I put that purely on me. I think a lot of our guys they really wanted to try to. I think which I didn't ask them. I think a lot. They think we really wanted to play well. They wanted to win the game, probably for me in some ways, and I hate that for them. I wanted them to play free, and I think the first 8 plays on defense we had a missed assignment, and so it's not. And I only say that I'm pretty good about never throwing people under the bus. I'm not throwing them on the bus. My point to them was, you're way better than you played, and it's what feels like an avalanche. Sometimes you go back and look at it. It's 10-3 with 4 minutes left. I think it's with 4 minutes left in the half. And then you just had like we typically don't have kind of those collapses, right? We had like, a little bit of a collapse, right? They go down, they score, they have a scramble, big play, they score. We have a missed assignment, they get a touchdown. When I say missed assignment, missed execution, probably a better way of saying it. They kick the ball off to us. We have a mishap. We have a sack. And then we have a punt return that gets returned back, then a 15-yard penalty on the punter. And they score again, so all of a sudden, 10-3 becomes 23-3. So, that being said, that game was over. I told the guys, when we get on the plane thinking about next Friday. And if you're not all in, get on bus 6 and go sit in the back of the plane. If you're all in, go back to your seat and move forward, and I'll put this L on my chest. So this game coming up this Friday means the world to us. It means the world to me. And so last week was disappointing, but it is what it is.
I did have a question. Right before halftime, it looked like you guys were maybe going to set up that Hail Mary that you had against Michigan, but you went with that inside screen instead. What was the thought process behind trying that play versus the
Yeah, they lined up with like all out zero blitz, and it just didn't seem like, hey, let's get the ball's on the 45-yard line, so it's going to end up being like a 65-yard throw, and it was like, hey, why get him hit here when I'm not even sure that we can get the play, off. Now he can get the ball in the end zone, don't get me wrong, but they were going to come after us. It was 4th down. We didn't want to punt it. They've got 3 block punts. So we just said, hey, let's put the ball in Jacory's hands. I remember way back when Lou Holtz years ago threw a tunnel screen in that same situation, got a block, and the guy went down and scored. So, but we had to run a play to get the clock to go to zeros. And as you saw with that, if they were going to come try to block it, they were going to try to beat us. So they were going to come after us. So, but yeah, it was just that.
What stood out about TJ and how he takes teaching moments from these games, and also the challenge specifically for a quarterback against Phil Parker's?
Well, I mean, this is the one defense in the Big Ten that holds everyone under their scoring average, consistently. There's not a lot of relief. There's no mercy. Like, they're doubling people. They're playing 2-man. They're challenging you. They got a great defensive line. There's a lot of things there. I thought, you go to Beaver Stadium. You're in silent cadence. That's hard for a quarterback. All his motion shifts. Mentally, I thought he was elite. He didn't make the catastrophic mistake. Even on the sack at the 1-yard line, I think I said to you guys the other day, that ball doesn't hit the ground. We're still able to punt it away. He moved the offense. We just didn't score enough touchdowns in the red zones. And once we got behind, then not collecting points and kicking field goals. You're having to go for it. But I think the biggest thing was, like, he was trying to run guys over, and I think his teammates saw that for a young guy, and he wasn't intimidated. He wasn't 33. He's a great player for Penn State. Came off the edge. He made a miss and ran for a touchdown. So, every day that TJ gets is another day for him to grow, and I think he grew in that game. I think his teammates saw that when bad things happened, he didn't let it affect him. He just wanted to keep playing. And he wanted to play to the very end of the game. I mean, I'd say the same thing about Jacory Barney. The guy had 5 catches. He had returned punts. He returned kicks. He made a tackle on the fake punt. There was a lot of guys out there, like Sierra Wright played to the end of the game. So, can't control the score. You can't control what you look like on tape. And I thought TJ did that to the best of his ability. And I'm excited for him. This will be his first start in Memorial Stadium when you think about it, And so, but yeah, it'll be a tremendous challenge. And but I just know after seeing him in last week's game, he'll be excited for it.
In the short week, do you take anything that you learned from maybe the Minnesota week to apply to this, whether it's structurally with practice or messaging or anything like that?
Yeah, we're practicing a little bit differently in that, plus it's an 11 o'clock game this week, so that's certainly different. But we just, we had to just kind of accelerate our process a little bit this week. And so we had the bye week 2 weeks ago. We spent a couple of days in Iowa as coaches to get ahead. But, I don't think we lost to Minnesota because of the schedule. And I'm the first person to always be hard on myself. I just, I think I've talked a lot about, just sort of what I think we did wrong there. And also I think Minnesota's a good team. But I think for us this week, the guys, they knew they got back. That's why I was probably short with you guys in the press conference, not in a disrespectful way. Hopefully I was like, let's get on this plane and get home. We got home, said we're going to get home at 3, we got home at 2. That's an extra hour, go to bed. I don't know how many of our guys are in bed by 2 after a game anyway, so it was kind of a little bit better, and then they'll just have to grind through this week. And the messaging doesn't change a lot for us each week. I always encourage them to prepare at the highest level they can, get to the game and attack and play as a team. And even in the midst of a bad loss like last week, I thought they certainly played as a team. Like I think I said after the game, no one was throwing helmets, pointing fingers, any of that stuff. And so that allows us this week to enter there and go out there and try to celebrate each other.
How do you approach special teams preparations this week when they have such a dangerous return?
Yeah, that's why we hired. This is why we hired Eck. I mean, when I interviewed Eck, I didn't interview him talking about what does so and so do. I mean, LeVar Woods is a great special teams coordinator at Iowa. I interviewed LeVar Woods in the National Football League. That's how good of a coach he is. And so, 21's an amazing player. He's ridiculously fast, and that's the one thing that you see. Obviously, we played against him before, but you see against Michigan State, he's fearless and he's fast. We have a good returner too in Jacory. So our guys have to play their best football. There is no coaching trick against Iowa. Like there is no hey, guys, we got him on this. Oh, guys, there's a hole in Phil Parker's defense. Or guys, hey, here's how I can get it. You guys are gonna have to play well. And so, and it's certainly the same for special teams. They're sound, they're well coached, and they're completely bought into it. And the example I make to our guys in terms of just mindset is, I don't know how long Coach has been there. Is it 19 years? 19? How long has Coach? Yeah, 27 years. My gracious! Like we're trying to finish out year 3 and with the same messaging. And my point was like, hey, when the TJ Latifs and Dawson Merritt and Isaiah Moses who sit in the back, when they're at the front, what will they be saying to the guys in the back? And then when those guys you think about how they've been doing it at Iowa for that long. It's when you ask me why I respect them so much, it's that. It's the fact that they've won this way. I mean, if we could ever change this game to like the second game of the year and we could play like a California team this week, it'd be snowing on Friday. I'd love it because they just I study what they do. They just are built to win in this environment, and a lot of respect. So, but I think special teams certainly is at the fore. I mean, what they did in the return game against Michigan State was fantastic.
So,
What can you say about Turner Corkran? He's been through multiple head coaches, different coordinators, changed positions along the line, injuries. He's been through quite a bit.
And I'll just say this: I thought he played one of his best games last week. He was on an island all day versus good rushers, and maybe give up a pressure here. I think it was a late sack. But we were running. We weren't able to just line up and just kind of run the football and play the way we want to play because of the score. I think he's one of the best humans and the best teammates I've ever been around. I mean, his injury was pretty tough last year. And I mean, there were times in the summer it was like, should I rehab it? Should I have surgery on it? I'm sure in his mind, should I retire from football? And to come back and then start the year as like, hey, you're just the jumbo tight end right now. He came back a month or 2 earlier than he was supposed to. And that was like, hey, you're just the jumbo tight end right now. And, become the starter and play at left tackle, play at right tackle, and play well. Really, really grateful for him, and I hope when he leaves here, he says he has a good experience. It'll be funny. Like in the next month, people start saying like, as the portal comes open, hey, coach, we think this guy's gonna make it. And these are the stories. This is why I coach for those kind of guys, man. Like for the guys who like are so unbelievably grateful, and he shows his gratitude through his actions, and I think I know Turner will go on to a really successful life, and he's left this place better than he found it.
Knowing that it's a short week and all those things, you guys put more preparation time into when you get to this week. You guys already have the plan set, and the fact that you know it's always going to be the same team. Is there a mindset that you guys prepare before, say Monday, of like, okay, when it's Iowa week, we already know how we're going to proceed?
Yes, absolutely, and I think that's in the old Big Ten West days, like you could kind of do that a little bit more. Now it's like who we play, and who's the coach now, but this is the one constant, and so now it's our third year doing it. Now, obviously, we have 3 new coordinators, but it's our 1 year doing it. And obviously, Coach Eckler coached against them in the bowl game, I think 3 years ago when he was at Tennessee. With that being said, I'll reiterate, there's not a lot of like, hey, this is the scheme that gets them. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just like it's just unbelievably sound football played by really good players who are really well developed, and so you just have to. Our players have to play really well, and so. But, we, like I said, we prepare for them in the off season. We think about it in the off season. We talk about it in the off season. We do it in the bye week, and it has to come to fruition on Friday. But it's our players. Our players this Friday. They have to do it. And I told them, I said, I can't do it for you. I don't have like a secret code versus these guys. You're going to have to go out and you're going to have to play well, and it's on them. And that's how they should want it.
There's probably 140 plays in that game last year. I'd estimate you guys probably won 120 of them, and they still found a way to win the game. Is limiting that one big play that Iowa can make kind of a key to?
Yeah, but I would say I think the one thing is that the way they've designed themselves is that I think one of their superpowers is that they're so comfortable in the close games. And I think historically our team, now I don't think it's that way anymore, but our team has been uncomfortable in close games. Whereas we're all sitting on the edge of our seats like, when's it? They're ready to go play, and then the quarterback pulls the ball against Penn State and runs for a touchdown, and they win the game. So they're designed, right? Like they're designed to win the fourth quarter. The coach takes the ball so you can have the win in the fourth quarter. They're going to run the football. They're going to milk the clock. They're going to punt the ball in 4th and 1. They're going to do all these things because they want to win the war of attrition and beat you in the fourth quarter. And so. Every day that nothing we do today is going to matter on Friday as much as like every day that we've lifted, every day that we've eaten, trying to go from a bad football program to a program that can compete against them is important. And you have to go make plays. I mean, last year they threw the ball on a swing screen. There were 3 blockers out there, and 5 guys missed the tackle, and he ran for a touchdown. And that's one play. And then the defense was probably frustrated, and offensively, you have a couple, you have a couple opportunities to score touchdowns, and you got to score them. So, and that, again, that's why I'm excited for our guys, because the one thing I've always wanted our guys to understand is that they control winning. Like even my point this week, all the questions I get asked are like, are we playing too much 3 down or 4 down or 5? And my point is like to our guys is like, look at the tape, guys. What does it say? It says, well, did you do what you're supposed to? No, you didn't do it. I need 11 guys to do their job, get off blocks and make tackles. I don't care what the defense is. We're top 25 in defense at Temple in a 4 down. We were top 25 in Baylor playing 3 down. We were top 5 in the NFL playing 5 down. Like, it doesn't matter. Good players make plays, and so I want our guys to feel. And that's not like it's on you in a bad way. I want them to feel like, hey, it's on me, and I'm going to go make the plays. And so I thought we were a little tight last week, as I said, and we were probably tight the first 2 years, at least like 2 years ago. And I want us to go play free, and I have the utmost respect for them. But they will be free because this is how they play, and it's what we've been trying to build to, and so we'll see where we're at. To Sean's point, if we were to win the football game on Friday, it'd be a heck of a step for us. But no matter what, we know where we're headed and what direction we're going, and it's time for us to go out and make the plays to win this game versus Iowa. I'd like to say one more thing, if I could. I just want to make sure, whether it's Nick Maestas at Muchachos, what he's doing, or anybody else in the community, just really grateful for the amount of people doing things to help people that don't have food and food insecurity and all that stuff. And so, I know our team is doing some things. I know Julie and I are doing some things, and we're not going to make it real public because it's like what is me, but I just think there's some really cool people in the Lincoln and Omaha communities and in small towns that are helping other people. And so, I went over and filmed something with Nick the other day for the podcast. I don't follow the podcast too much because I'm busy, but I don't know if it's been released or not. But like literally, he's feeding people And as we're filming and on a closed day, there's people with like kids coming up and it's closed trying to get something to eat. And so, I've encouraged our team, like I said, it doesn't have to be something big, but just go feed one person. I think that's way bigger than football. So, congratulations to the state championship teams that are out here tonight. And my hometown of Waverly's in it tonight. Though I'm not rooting for them because I don't root against anybody, but Waverly's in it. Know that.